mind if I say a few words? Thank you.
Bong. ITN News at 10 returns with big publicity push. Bong. Sir Trevor MacDonald persuaded out of retirement with huge cheque. Bong. The hopes of ITV rest upon the revamped news show's shoulders. Bong. It's all been a giant flop, as Smart Alec talk show host predicted it would be. I don't like saying I told you so, but I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, with na on top. 3 months after News at 10 was relaunched at huge expense with a Knight of the Realm at the helm, the BBC still gets over double the audience for its 10 o'clock news, and Trevor MacDonald has made almost no difference whatever. There's money well spent. The Beeb is trouncing ITV, even though their auto-cue reading automaton is a run-of-the-mill Mr. and not a Sir, like his mystifyingly venerated commercial competitor. The BBC man is one Hugh Edwards. Who? Hugh. That's who. A man you could rub noses with and still not recognise. He's utterly anonymous, and that's rather the point. The news is that no one cares who's reading the news. The idea that the nation would drop its crumpets to switch over to Trev just because he was listing the recent deaths in your area is as comical as the "and finally" story's attempts to make you feel better about the litany of woe that's preceded it. There's one thing that newsreaders should never be, and that's the news itself. The notion that people would switch channels to hear bad news read by someone famous is ludicrous, as Channel 5 will shortly find out after the publicity-fuelled bump in the ratings after they hired a Dollybird to read their news peters out. It's not show business, it's the only part of television that isn't, or shouldn't be. The best thing a newsreader can aspire to are believability and anonymity. But you tell that to the young folk who run TV today, and they won't believe you. I did say I told you so, didn't I?
Probably.
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah. So it returned in a blaze of publicity, the familiar bongs of Big Ben, the authoritative presence of Sir Trevor MacDonald. Why is he a Sir?
For services to broadcasting, probably.
Really?
I imagine
What, for
so.
just getting paid a lot of money for doing not much? For a long period of time?
Are you just annoyed that you haven't got one?
Well, what would I do with it? What would you do with it?
You'd jump all the queues in restaurants, bars, clubs. You'd be treated
Clubs?
preferentially.
Clubs? You don't actually mean clubs, do you? What, Sir Trevor goes down the club? Very doubtful. Clubs. The stuff you come out with, honestly. ITV executives have been left devastated after failing to dent the success of the 10 o'clock news since their flagship bulletins went head-to-head in January. Now, remind me why they gave up news at 10 in the first place. It's because it interrupted the big film, right? Start a film at 9 o'clock, you watch it for an hour, and then along comes the news, and you've got to wait 30, 35 minutes before it starts again, by which time you've lost interest and forgotten what the plot is. That's just crazy. I mean, adverts are annoying enough in the middle of a film, but a whole news break. Other channels do this as well. They give news blipverts. It must be the law. It must be the law. Like if a film is on BBC 4, for instance, or one of the other satellite channels, about every hour they'll go to some stand-up noddy in front of a desk and says, here's the latest news for 60 seconds, and now back to your film. How irritating is that? Anyway, since they went head-to-head in January, News at 10 has averaged 2.2 million viewers compared to 4.8 million tuning into the BBC's news show. Pretty much the exact same amount as were watching before they cancelled News at 10. So they cancelled it for 2 reasons. One, because nobody was watching it anymore. And 2, because it broke up the big film. And so they brought it back to break up the big film, and still no one's watching it. It's like they've just completely run out of ideas in television land. In this country, anyway. No one's got any ideas anymore. Do we have here's that word again. Schedule? Schedule. For tomorrow. I bet there's not one single original programme on either ITV or BBC One tomorrow. There it is. A flurry of activity.
I haven't even moved from my seat.
Well, I know. Well, I wasn't expecting you to. You're busy doing nothing the whole day long. OnTheBox.com. Never heard of it. Right. Saturday. Waiting. I'd do anything. Oh, that's just really... I mean,
I got 2 choruses of "That's so good" in here, and one of them wasn't from me.
What? Explain yourselves.
Well, it's just reality fun, isn't it? It's not serious.
Shut up. Anything, seriously, anything that has got Graham Norton's name on it is almost a guarantee, not almost, it is a guarantee that it's going to be utterly dire. I'd do anything. Is that the search for a theatre star?
Yes. The new Oliver.
The new Oliver?
Yeah. Oliver Twist.
Right, which one's the Nancy one, then?
That is the same one. So they're looking for Nancy and Oliver.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, they found one. I'd do anything. It's a talent search. They've been around since Huey Green was...
knocking.
Yeah, spewing his business all over television. Huey. World Championships... Oh, that's BBC Two. The National Lottery. Well, we can just pass over that and pretend it doesn't exist. It's a game show. It's a game show hooked onto a silly ball draw. Casualty. OK, I've never seen that. What's that like?
Just Abby says it's good, but I'd say it's ER without the glamour.
Yeah, but Abby said that I'd do anything was good. See? And that laugh was a laugh of shame. Then Match of the Day, which has been going since I were a lad. Right, so far I'm absolutely correct. Over on ITV. Well, there you are, you see. All-Star Mr. and Mrs. I rest my face. Mr. and Mrs. That's from the 60s. Who used to do Mr. and Mrs., by the way? It was, Mr.
Derek Beatty.
Derek Beatty. That sounds, well, I recognise the name, but I can't place the face. Then Britain's Got Talent, which is Huey Green's Opportunity Knocks. Done, with a new name. Pushing Daisies. Well, they can't claim any credit for that. That's that programme that they bought, then they found that they couldn't squeeze it into the schedule, so they dropped an episode. Who's running that channel? Then, another thing that they can't claim credit for, a bought-in movie, to be interrupted by the news. Followed by another bought-in movie. You see, there are no new things in television anymore. Everything's been done under the sun. And so, panicked executives, who are paid a gigantic amount to know a thing or two, who apparently don't, are just reduced to doing the same old thing over and over and over again.
Isn't that just because nobody likes change?
Well, apparently, nobody likes what they used to have either, because they changed it, and then they unchanged it, and people still don't like it. Because News at 10, that was supposed to have been the diamond in their lineup. And it used to attract a good number of people, but then it was probably in the days when there were only 3 channels. The revamped show was put on only 100,000 viewers, far fewer than ITV would have hoped. Yeah, well, I would think so, the amount of money that they paid Trevor McDonald. There is speculation over how long Sir Trevor will be convinced to keep fronting the show. As long as they keep paying him, I would think. He was said to have returned reluctantly after a lucrative deal to become ITV's most prominent news anchor. All right then. Reluctantly. Well, they had to drag him out of his house, did they? Reluctantly. He's become ITV's most prominent news anchor and has declined to say how long he would remain. I expect they'll kill it off again. Is there... Can you think of one single new idea that television has come up with lately? Any. One. Just one. That British television, British television has come up with lately. Anything. Anything that's not a soap, which is just... which is basically just Dickens, isn't it? Dickens was a soap writer. Sorry, I'm looking for a plaster. I cut myself, and I don't want to bleed all over the studio. So, can you actually think of one new idea that television has come up with lately? Anything? Those geniuses over there in Teleland are earning 10 times what us dopes in Radioland are earning. Anything? One single thing? No? Hello? Hello?
I'm thinking.
You've been thinking
We're
a
all
good long
thinking.
while, yeah. Nothing so far. Right. Okay, well, while we continue to ruminate, it's 7:45. LBC Travel with... no idea.
Amanda Redmond, good evening, Nick.
0845 6060 973. Here is our first call in Catford. Hello, Trixie.
Hi.
Trixie.
I think one of the reasons that News at 10 came back was something to do with Parliament. Do
Go
you
on.
remember there was an outcry in Parliament? People saying, no, we want our dongs back, we want our Trevor McDonald.
Who said that?
That was in Parliament. They actually talked about it in question time. I'm sure somebody out there will remember that.
I think the people that bring up this sort of thing are people who you've never heard of before and just want to get their faces on television, in much the same way that the people who ask those extra questions during Prime Minister's Question Time, which is the only point at which the general public watches Parliament. I mean, it's on all the time, but nobody ever watches it, right? There's a whole channel that with no viewers at all. In fact, there's no people actually in the debating chamber when...
No, that's true.
Yeah,
You
it's
see,
completely deserted.
No, you see, of course, I haven't watched TV now since September. I mean, it's a long time. And I haven't missed it. Every time I hear something about the television, I've said this, I know, before, but it just seems so banal. I just don't want to know.
Right. Well, I agree with you. I mean, I do watch an enormous amount of it myself, but you just get hooked into
Yeah,
it.
but you've got the technology, and you can bypass all the television itself, and you can get series to watch, for example.
What do you mean?
Well, you like The Sopranos, and you got the series of The Sopranos as well, didn't you?
No, I taped it off the TV.
Oh, you taped it off the TV and then you watched it. Sorry.
Yeah, like almost everybody else does. You tape it off the TV, you eliminate the adverts, and then you just watch the programme itself.
Sky Plus. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without
no,
mentioning any brand names. Sky Plus, you say.
Oh,
yes.
terribly sorry. So I don't have any technology like that.
Right, well, the thing with television is that you can watch an enormous amount, but when you go on holiday, for instance, you just don't miss it at all.
No, that's true. When of course, in the old days when it was video, I remember I had this thing about a soap opera that I used to see in Finland. So I had
Finnish soap opera?
No, it was an American soap opera.
Oh, right.
Being shown in Finland. It was a great favourite at the time. And the head of the film school's wife used to send me the entire series by video. And I had hundreds of videos. I was staring like a maniac. I couldn't keep up.
What was this programme?
The Bold and the Beautiful.
Oh, right, okay.
Exactly, you didn't need
Well,
this.
that's one of the reasons why you stopped watching television. You just couldn't stand it anymore.
I think that might have been one of the reasons.
Yeah.
No, I stopped
That would have
watching
put me
it
off for
ages
life.
ago. But, no, there isn't anything, there aren't any new ideas left. But all the programmes that you said just now, I remember them, from when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Same as you.
And they were bad then, too.
Well, they were awful. But the thing is, this is the difference. We had imagination. And we had music. And that's what we were.
Imagination. Well, I don't think that imagination came into play in old-style TV, because, first of all, they didn't have special effects. So they had to, in Doctor Who, they had to look away, and then someone would describe what was happening.
Yeah, but we had to imagine it then.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
Imagination,
Did you ever get Listen with Mother?
Well, I know what it is, but I don't ever remember what...
It's a radio program.
A radio program, yeah.
You probably heard it. It's one of the very first things that came on the radio. And it was lovely. It was like having a storybook read, and you listened to it, and you had a little song, and then you had the compatible things on the television. They're all black and white, obviously. But we had a lot more imagination. They were in the garden, playing about...
Well, they used to have a thing called Jackanory?
That was, yes.
And some bloke used to sit down and read a book. Do they still do that?
I don't know, but that was later. A little bit later.
I mean, can you imagine now making a television programme just watching somebody reading?
I know, I know.
It would never happen.
They still do it, I think so, but...
They still do it. Like I said, it's still happening. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for that, Trixie. Schedule, righto. Cheers.
Bye.
Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. Yes, I do remember that there was a bit of a stink in Parliament, and I bet that nobody who actually made a stink you've ever heard of. It was exactly the same sort of people who stand up in Prime Minister's questions after the ding-dong between the two leaders, and they'll say, would my right honourable friend agree with me that he is the most fragrant and lovely person to have ever held his office? I'd like to thank my right honourable friend, suck-up jobs on the back benches. And they only say those stupid questions in order to get their face on television, because otherwise people would wonder, where they are, what have they done since we voted you in. Why do they allow those questions, by the way? What a waste of time. And the guy's only there for 30 minutes a week. He can only be probed for half an hour. And half of it is taken up with him explaining how fabulous he is, and thanking the right honourable gentleman for pointing that out. Sheffield, hello, Jessica.
Hello, Nick.
Jessica.
I do have to agree, agree and disagree with Trixie there. I don't really want to use my imagination when it comes to watching TV. I don't really want to waste it. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Well, you have a limited reserve of it, do you?
Yeah,
right.
I like to prioritise. When I'm watching a TV, which I don't do very much, but I find that now I just go for unadulterated trash.
Like what?
Well, I watched this programme last week that was about a bloke whose face was a whole tumour.
Now, why would you watch that?
Yeah, well...
That's not trash, that's just horrible.
No, it's not.
What do you mean, no, it's not?
Well, it's not horrible.
Yes, it is horrible. I saw the briefest glimpse before I turned my whole head away, and I thought, why on earth have they made a programme about... I know why they made a programme about that. It's Victorian freak showery, so you can point and, laugh, gasp, whatever comes to mind.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I want my TV for. That kind of thing.
Pointing and laughing at people.
And, I want...
Well, that's exactly the same thing. The Britain's Not Got Talent. It's these lunatics who come on and you point and laugh at the freak.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think that you can watch Newsnight and you can watch sort of important, thought-provoking documentaries, but it's not very entertaining. Whereas if you watch trash, your expectations aren't very high, and that means that sort of the TV normally delivers. If I watch trash...
if you don't expect much of it,
exactly,
then you'll be completely satisfied.
I don't demand anything of it, it doesn't demand anything of me.
Right.
And it just passes an hour or two, and it does make you escape from the real world. If I want facts, I'll read a newspaper.
Well, I think that's exactly that's completely untrue. Things that make you escape from the real world are things where glamorous, good-looking people with nice teeth are...
Yeah, well, I mean, I will watch Rock Rivals as well. Have you seen Rock Rivals?
I've never even heard of it.
I mean, you said where is TV going? I think it's going like this. Rock Rivals is a drama that's actually sort of doubling up on real-life TV. Rock Rivals is like a version of Pop Idol.
Well, instead of pop,
Talent.
they're playing rock.
Yeah, so it's a reality show that's been made into a TV programme, a drama.
Oh, it's not a... this isn't real life. Somebody's actually sat down and written this.
Someone's actually written it and gone back the next day and written the next episode. And it's just garbage, it's rubbish, but it's kind of glamorous, and you can watch it and you think, they're nice shoes, that's a nice bag, and then you switch it off, and that's it.
Is that what you think, really, Jessica? I mean, you're painting yourself as an airhead. They're nice shoes, that's a nice bag.
No, what I'm saying is, that part of myself is, facilitated by these kind of programmes, but it's only a very small part. But when I am indulging myself in TV, I don't really want it to be interesting or thought-provoking, because I'm watching it because I want to chill out for a couple of hours.
And switch your brain off.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I think that you could
want to see Jeremy Paxman talking to someone, because
there's many different steps in between, and I don't want to watch Jeremy Paxman even with the sound off. That man just makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
But there's many things in between Jeremy Paxman and laughing at people who can't sing. Like dramas that have actually been written by somebody.
Yeah, and I enjoy that as well. But I have to be in the right mood, and most of the time I'm not, because, I mean,
I'm that way with films that have subtitles. I've got no end of French and German films backed up on my Sky Plus thing, but I'm never in the mood to sit down and read.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to see movies that I didn't even know what language it was in, but sometimes it's nice just to sit down and watch something rubbish and think, if it's Jeremy Kyle, you think My Life...
Oh, no, I'm going to have to stop you there. There's nothing pleasurable about that show. There just isn't. Come on!
No, it's like,
There's no programme on television that makes me want to leap through the screen and throttle the presenter.
Yeah, but, some people would say if it's provoked a reaction, then it's worked.
No, it hasn't. That's the wrong... The want to kill the people that are making it is not the right reaction to any programme, surely.
No, even by my standard, that's a bit lowbrow.
Yes.
But middle...
I thought Trisha was bad.
Is all right, and it serves the purpose, and you can switch it off, and it's instantly forgettable.
Right, that's the part I like about Jeremy Kyle the best, when you can switch it off.
It doesn't stay with you.
It does stay with me. I feel unclean, even just skipping past that programme. I feel like I need to go and take a shower to rid the stench that's coming from the box. I feel it's clinging to me.
I always think no matter how bad things are, at least you're not...
Not one of those people.
It serves that purpose, if nothing else.
Well, I suppose that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, at least you're not on the Jeremy Kyle show. At least, in fact, Jessica, you're not Jeremy Kyle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new News at 10. Even though I like the idea of it, I haven't watched it.
No, that puts you in the majority, yeah.
Most people want to hear the bongs, and then you think, I can't be bothered with the programme.
Oh, there's just something about Trevor McDonald that I just don't think... I just don't want that... it's nothing personal. I just don't want him in my living room.
I think the thing about Trevor McDonald is he looks a little bit shifty. And you don't want your news delivered.
By shifty people, yeah. Well, that's a good point.
I'm sure he's a nice bloke.
Yeah, OK. Thanks very much, Jessica. As long as you don't say anything controversial, that's great. LBC 97.3.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
Raj, Gladiators is not a good... well, great was the word that you said. It's not a great show. It's rubbish. It's only great if you're like, what shall I say, 5.
Yeah, and when it was out, I was 5 or 10.
5, right. OK. Well, you certainly told me. The Sun had a cheeky dig... well, cheeky is not really... had a justifiable dig at the head of the Defence Estates. Because they've been running this story for a while now, and they got some footage from one of the squaddies that's put up in accommodation, if you can put it like that, just before they leave to fight for their country. This is the story yesterday. The shameful squalor faced by British soldiers before they're sent to fight in Afghanistan is exposed by the Sun. The pictures show a broken pipe spewing out sewage, mouldy accommodation huts, broken windows taped up with plastic. This is all at RAF Bryce Norton, where airborne troops stayed before flying to the war zone. The appalled gunner who gave the photos to the Sun said, "Imagine this as the last place in England you see before you die for your country." And indeed, that has been the case with everyone who's left there and died for their country. He added that the comrades couldn't wait to get to Afghanistan because the living conditions in Afghanistan are better than they are here. The appalling state of the Oxfordshire base's barracks blocks has resulted from decades of decay, including a fractured pipe from which stinking human waste and used toilet paper flows onto, well, they say a road here, but in the picture it looks like the parking lot directly by where they live. Sleeping quarters riddled with stained and damp, causing paint to peel off the walls, collapsing ceilings in washrooms, rats running rife in the seedy conditions, crippled ablution blocks, forcing squatters to walk 100 metres past the sewage to have a warm shower at night, and a faulty electrical supply leaving troops in the dark when it fails. And that's not all. The prefab huts into which 4 servicemen must cram onto 2 steel bunk beds are located next to the airbase's runway. Many windows have fallen out due to the vibrations sent out by ageing military jets taking off day and night. But instead of being replaced with new glass, the voids have been taped over with black plastic sheeting and bin bags. Well, I mean, if it wasn't so serious, it'd be funny. It's not even in third world countries do they would anybody put up with accommodation like this. Well, like they say, when you go to Afghanistan, it's actually better. The broken sewage pipe was left unfixed for days, despite repeated complaints from soldiers. Several went down with stomach bugs. Even the dilapidated children's playground near is a health hazard. Squatters' kids have nowhere else to play, but its perimeter is strewn with rubbish, mattresses are dumped by the side, and swings are broken. Airborne troops are posted to the blocks to practice parachuting drills. Some have to live in the huts for more than 2 months. Recently, the base has been the last staging post in Britain for the gunners of 7 Para Royal Horse Artillery. The regiment's 500 men are flying out to southern Afghan Badlands in batches this week for a gruelling 6th-month tour. Some may never come back. The slum blocks were the last sight of England for Airman Gary Thompson, the 51-year-old dad of 5, killed near Kandahar on Sunday. The gunner who provided the photo said if prisoners were put in that dump, they'd sue and win a fortune off the government. It's the worst place any of us have ever had to live, and we've been all over the world. Living conditions are actually far better in Afghanistan, so the guys couldn't wait to get out there. It's a complete disgrace, but the Ministry of Defence knows we'll put up with it and get on with the job because that's what soldiers do. The Sun has long campaigned to improve ghetto-like forces accommodation, and the Bryce Norton expose sent shockwaves through the corridors of power last night. Yeah, it sent shockwaves that anybody had sneaked out photographs of it. And there will be an investigation as to who it was that alerted the press to these conditions, not to the conditions themselves. Because they told them about this already. I mean, it's months ago that stuff like this came out, right? Unless I'm hallucinating. So they know it's like that. But they just thought, oh, well, it'll blow over. I mean, the press can't... They know that the press can't write about the same thing day after day because the news has to be new. Has to be constantly churning new stuff. And so you'll write an expose about some shocking thing, and then you're forced to move on, because if you just keep writing the same thing all the time, it still hasn't changed, it still hasn't changed, it still hasn't changed, nobody will buy your paper anymore. So they know that if they just ignore it, job done. they just, duck down, take a bit of flack. They're not bothered, they're at lunch. And just carry on regardless. Shockwaves through the corridors of power. Yeah, right. Who are they kidding? And then today, as an update, there's a picture of a gigantic mansion under which this story. The military chief presiding over the squalid accommodation endured by British soldiers is living on a £20 million estate. Vice Admiral Timothy Lawrence, the Queen's son-in-law, is Chief Executive of Defence Estates. He has the run of the Princess Royal's splendid stately home Gatcombe Park, set in 200 acres of Gloucestershire woodland. Ministry of Defence officials tried yesterday to shift the blame for the scandal at Bryce Norton, Oxfordshire, away from the Vice Admiral. Instead, they pointed the finger at the RAF and insisted Lawrence was not responsible for temporary accommodation like the prefab huts at the base. They really do seem to bend over backwards in order to protect the royals, don't they? The thing the other day with the Prince William taking a helicopter for £15,000 of our money just so we could get to a party without sitting in a traffic jam. I said, oh, yeah, we knew about that. It was all part of his training. Yeah, sure it was. Like, anybody else could have taken that helicopter to go to a party, and it wouldn't have been, well, stuck in a place like that. Vice Admiral Lawrence, 53, who earns £100,000 a year, said in a recent interview, a lot of estates are in a condition that I don't like, but I don't agree that any of our estates are slums, he said. Just a reminder, a fractured pipe from which stinking human waste and used toilet paper flows onto the road, stained with damp, peeling paint, collapsing ceilings, rats, and windows are taped up with bin bags. To him, not a slum. Right, there's a man in touch with the troops. Here's one in Eltham. Hello, Phil.
Hi, Nick. Hi.
How you going?
Yeah, cool, thanks. No, just disgusting how this government treat our armed forces. It's just absolutely despicable.
I don't know why anybody joins anymore. Don't join the armed forces. They don't care about you.
No. And, you know, to be fair, this guy, I'm going to sound ignorant now, but some civilian in, I think it was Iraq or Afghanistan, got sort of injured by a soldier, UK soldier.
Yeah, that's right.
And they got £2 million quid compensation. You know, when would one of our boys ever get anything ever near that amount? You know, it's just totally and utterly despicable the way this government treat our armed forces.
It's actually, it's quite, I just can't believe it, actually. I mean,
yeah, it's contempt to the degree.
I just can't quite get my head around it.
Yeah.
What on earth are they thinking?
You Nick, I'm not allowed to talk about particulars with regards to politicians, I guess, am I, at this time?
Yeah, I suppose everybody's very nervous about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, no,
yeah, I know. Yeah, speechless.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did you call about, Phil?
No, I went to, the Quack today.
Oh, yeah.
Last night I was telling you about I got, spiked.
Yes.
In a hotel bar.
Yeah, you thought you did, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I went to the Quack, and I told him...
You went to the Quack? Yes.
Awesome. Basically, he didn't seem the slightest bit interested.
Really?
Because he said, well, it's your own fault for, like, leaving a pint, unattended.
Right.
I was thinking more about long-term damage to my brain, but he didn't seem that bothered, to be honest. But he said, so when did you get spiked? You didn't get spiked. And I said, well, I'd had 4 or 5 pints. And, and then...
I bet that didn't go down very well.
Well, exactly. And, well, it's funny you say that, because he then said to me, right, 4 or 5 pints. He said, that's binge drinking, don't you?
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking, oh, come on, mate, I know it's more than the recommended daily allowance.
Yeah. Which is all based on false information, by the way.
Yeah, your doctor friend told you.
Yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, he wants me to have a blood test for my liver to check it's okay. And the thing is, I'm gonna have it done anyway.
Right, might as well.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I was thinking, for heaven's sakes, in my brain, I was thinking, you get a load of guys who go out and have 10-pint sessions regularly.
Well, it seems unfair. Yeah, it seems it's almost as though the press don't have anything to write about anymore. Every day it's the same bloomin' thing. Kids are going crazy and killing people. You're drinking too much. And the food that we last month told you that it's going to save you is actually going to kill you. Sorry about that.
By 20%.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. 101% of the facts that we're printing in this paper are inaccurate.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I think, as you sort of touched on, I think it's worth doing.
Well, how often do you drink 5 pints?
Well, twice a week.
Right. I think 5. Is it just me? Am I just a lightweight southern softie? But 5 seems quite a lot. How many pints do you drink of a night out, Raj?
At least 15.
15 pints, right, that sounds reasonable, yes.
I think, the thing is, Nick, it might be just from a work culture, because we all go down the pub.
Oh, are you a doctor?
No, I work in insurance.
Insurance?
In the city,
right.
And, like, we all go and heave down a pub on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Get plastered.
Get hammered and try to forget that you work as something as boring as insurance. Yeah.
Exactly, something so mundane and tedious.
Yeah.
So I had to get slaughtered to forget about it.
Yeah. I'd have to get slaughtered to go to work.
Well, often, caught drinking vodka on a train on the way in the morning, just to...
I would think so, yeah.
Numb the senses.
Numb the pain, yeah.
But,
what's the mood in the city? So you work right in the heart of the city, eh?
Yeah.
And what's the mood there now at the moment?
I work near Lloyd's. Well, thing is, I'm in insurance, not the banking, like reinsurance.
Yeah.
To be honest, Nick, no, it's all business as usual in insurance. There are slight reductions on premiums. In other words, like 10% reduction from this time this year to last time. Sorry.
What, prices are going down?
Yeah.
Get lost? No, they're not.
What, insurance premiums?
Yes.
Yeah, they are, yeah, for...
Rubbish. Well, they're not being passed on to me.
No,
I've got insurance up to my eyeballs. I've got every kind of insurance that's ever been invented, and year by year, they just keeps going up.
Yeah, but I'm talking more like reinsurance, where the insurers would buy insurance with us, Right,
well, I don't know what that means. Would you like to give me a quote?
I'd love to, Nick. Yeah, I've got a pricing engine right here.
Right, okay.
But, to be honest, the industry is fairly stable.
Yeah, inflation-proof. I mean, not inflation-proof, recession-proof.
Not really, to be honest. I mean, you have your insurance cycle like any other cycle, and it just depends. The insurance are going into a soft cycle, in other words, lower premiums for the next 2 or 3 years.
Right, not round my way, but I'll believe you.
But it's how well your business is run, to be honest.
Right.
It's, you know...
All right.
It's...
Okay, well, listen, Phil, keep drinking.
Will do.
And I'll talk to you later. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Nick.
0845 6060 973. It's 8:16. LBC Travel with Will Gowing.
Thank you. Well, let's get back to it.
We don't have a Mystics and Mediums show anymore, do we?
No.
Mediums, psychics, tarot card readers and spiritual healers are predicting problems over new European Union legislation, which they fear could leave them open to litigation from sceptics. And about time, too. Today, the Spiritual Workers Association, the what, will lobby the government over plans to make the mystic profession subject to consumer protection regulations drafted in Brussels. The mystic profession. Drafted in 1951, Fraudulent Mediums Act is to be repealed next month and replaced with the EU Unfair Commercial Practices Directive, which comes into... how boring must it be to work in the EU? I mean, I know you get paid a ton, and your expenses are through the roof, and you don't pay any tax, and you've got a coterie of nubile assistants following you in your wake, from which you can pick and choose. I believe that's actually how it works. It just must be so boring. I mean, you have to stay in boring places for a start. In Luxembourg, which is the world's least interesting capital city, Strasbourg... there can't be anything interesting going on there. Raj is yawning just thinking about it. I love the way he doesn't even put his hand up. He's sitting there working on this show and he just looks at me right in the face and just yawns right in my face. Can you believe it? Sometimes, Raj, I cry myself to sleep at night. Today, the Spiritual Workers Association will lobby the government over plans to make the mystic professions... I said that bit. Britain's 1951 Fraudulent Mediums Act to be repealed by the EU and you also have to put on a voice to say it, the EU Unfair Commercial Practices Directive, which comes into force May 26th. Under the outgoing legislation, the prosecution had to prove that a medium or spiritual healer had intended to be fraudulent in order to secure a conviction. But under the new European Consumer Protection Directive... it will be the psychic's responsibility to prove that they did not mislead or coerce credulous consumers. The problem is, it's turning spiritualism, the religion, into a... it's not a religion, is it? Is spiritualism a religion? Well, where does a religion start and a nutcase cult end? No offence. The problem is that turning spiritualism, the religion, into a consumer product, which it is not. That it is turning spiritual. The Fraudulent Mediums Act protected the medium because it meant that the person receiving the information was taking personal responsibility. In other words, if anyone's gullible enough to go on and believe that they're talking to your dead dad, or your dead dad's dead dog, Ken Dodd's dad's dog's dead. That has to be the greatest front page headline in history. It's way better than Freddie Starr ate my hamster or Gotcha. Well, I don't like Gotcha. But any of those. It has to be the greatest headline of any story ever. Ken Dodd's dad's dog's dead. By the way, I've still got this thing from the Express yesterday, and because it was in the Express, nobody read it, of a list of witty things that people had said, one of which was the Ken Dodd one, which I didn't get when I first read it, where it really comes to something when you don't understand a Ken Dodd joke. I told the Inland... I can't even say it. I told the Inland Revenue I didn't owe them a penny because I lived near the sea. I didn't understand that when I first read it. Funny. And there's a picture of Ken Dodd. To make it funnier. There's nothing that's not funny about that man. I mean, look at the way his fingers bend, sort of in ways that fingers aren't supposed to. His eyes, his hair, his teeth. Here was a man who was born to be funny. I told the Inland Revenue I didn't owe them a penny because I lived near the sea.
Gary and Abby didn't get that one either. I had to help them out with that
right.
as well.
But you're laughing now. Anyway, the problem is that it's turning spiritualism, the religion, into a consumer product which is not. Of course it is. It's like therapy, really, isn't it? I mean, you just want to go along and be told, oh yeah, you're still very much loved and everything's okay, and you'll meet a tall, handsome stranger and you'll travel far. All that rubbish. However, the unbelievers at the British Humanist Association welcome the change. The British Humanist Association. Who are they? Oh, look, a flurry of activity in there to find who they are. This is staring at me like I'm an exhibition at Madame Two-Swords. We hope that the new regulations will make real changes to the current situation where psychic practitioners are permitted to make completely unsubstantiated claims and to take payment for their services without fear of legal action, said its chief executive, Hanny Stinson. Crazy name, very sensible person. I don't, male or female, I've got no idea. It does seem to be a bit of what's the word? I don't want to say con, but it seems to be a bit of a sharp practice. The humanist view of life is the British Humanist Association. Polly Toynbee. Oh, she's that the fascinating Guardian columnist.
Boring.
What do they do? Where's their mission statement? For the one life we have. What on earth does that mean? What does that mean? That could mean anything. It could be you selling apples or massage, or it could be special top secret massage. Or anything.
Maybe they're all about having a good time.
I very much doubt that. No, not with Polly Toynbee at the helm. The humanist view of life is progressive and optimistic, in awe of human potential, living without fear of judgment and death, finding enough purpose and meaning in life, love and leaving a good legacy. Well, so far so muesli. I mean, it does seem a bit... it's like preying on the daft, isn't it? Mediums. It's like cheap therapy. You just want to go along and be patted on the head and told that everything's all right. You know, like a dog. Here is Ealing. Hello, Dave.
Hello. It was interesting what you were saying about humanism, because humanists really believe in logic, and they use logic and science to judge their sort of actions in life, but yet they have an underlying faith in the human condition and human potential, and that's...
What, in the goodness of human beings?
Yes, in the goodness.
Wow, they are out of their minds.
But not based on any spiritual view, just everything else is guided by logic.
Right.
So think of them a bit like kind-hearted Vulcans from Star Trek.
Right, so kind-hearted Vulcans, you say?
Yes.
Got it.
I was ringing because actually what you were saying before about the state of the barracks that the troops were staying at.
Yeah.
It actually just made me think about the stark contrast that you have between one set of public servants, which are the troops,
right,
who are staying in slum-like conditions.
Right, it's beyond slum, really, isn't it? I mean, who lives with in their own feces? I mean, that's just beyond belief.
Not in this country. You wouldn't get, even if you had a private landlord, you'd be able to sue. You wouldn't get those kind of conditions.
No.
And then another set of public servants, members of parliament, who, when they have houses in London, are given 20,000 a year additional payment to do those houses up.
Basically, as much as they can screw out of us without getting caught. Yes.
And pretty much this year, or for the last 6 months or so, we've been acting very surprised at how many snouts are in the trough, and how well members of parliament are looking after themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's a good word that you used there, Dave. Acting. We've been acting surprised, as though it is a bit of a shock. It ain't a shock. We knew it was going on all along. In fact, we'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Exactly, and in a way, I don't actually blame them, because they're not unique. Any other group of people,
yeah, absolutely,
if they had no oversight at all, and they were completely in charge of how they could remunerate and rule themselves,
right, I'd do it too.
Would do it. Yes, exactly. If it was a group of lawyers, solicitors, journalists. MPs are just a microcosm of the society we live in.
Yeah, the key is, Dave, we'll all get away with whatever we can. It's just that these people who are forced to live in these conditions can't get away with anything.
That's it. And for these people, we really need some kind of independent oversight. So kind of an off tell or off what for the armed services.
Off-RAF.
Some independent body to set that covenant, to set the conditions and to set the requirements and judge them, so that because really, if it wasn't for somebody taking photos and all the complaints you're getting in the press, really, it
would never change.
Yes,
it would just get worse. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I bet there's an investigation underway, not into how these conditions have been allowed to become like this, but into how it is that these conditions have been printed in the press. That will be the focus of the investigation. I guarantee it. No, but you're absolutely right. And much as I wouldn't like another Quango, because it seems like that's all we bloomin' well need, I think you've got a good point there. Yeah, it needs to be somebody, because obviously the people that are doing it now aren't to be trusted.
No.
If that's the best that they can do, or if that's the worst that they can do, to say that it's not good enough is to be an underestimate. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, Dave. And thanks very much for the call. All right, cheers, mate. This is LBC 97.3. It's 8:30.
Okay.
Okay, what now?
Okie dokie.
Thank you. We have a packed weekend for you, amongst which you'll find Simon Calder's Travel Clinic. As holiday companies gear up for the start of the new summer season, are travel agents needed anymore now? So it's so easy to book online. I don't think I've ever used a travel agent. I don't think I've ever used who uses a travel agent anymore? An echoing silence. Simon gets the latest on T5. Oh, by the way, I've seen that video that people made of Terminal 5, the Terminal 5 baggage fiasco video. It's quite funny. He's an Australian, right? The guy who's he was going on. Hello. What are you chatting about in there?
Sorry, technical issues.
Oh, technical, is it? Oh, right. Well, we want to get a man in. No, they made this video. It's had I don't know. I don't know exactly how many, so I'll make it up. 1 billion hits for this video that they made on T5. I think he's Australian. His wife lost her wedding dress, something like that. I don't really know what the story is, but it was on the news here last night, and apparently radio stations are playing it. Well, that's what it said. I can't imagine how, because it sounds dreadful, and the video quality is terrible as well. But they did a video actually inside the terminal itself. How they got away with that, I can have no idea. I mean, they had chorus lines of people, and it was a big setup. Because Terminal 5, the BAA, certainly didn't allow them to do that. And because it's their property, you'd think that you'd have to go through, you'd have to jump through so many hoops to be allowed to film somewhere. So they just set it up and did it. And because everyone was freaking out, running around, trying to hide from people who were complaining, there probably wasn't anybody around to stop them doing it. And they posted it up on the World Wide Web. He's going to be getting the latest on Terminal 5, as Simon Calder, this Sunday. His insurance firms say that thousands cannot claim for lost bags. And he's going to be asking how reliable travel guides are after this guy who wrote for Lonely Planet. He was doing a piece on Colombia, and then come to find out he'd never actually been there. What a great job. Simon's just back from Paris. That's the destination of the week, and he wants to hear from you too. Simon Calder's Travel Clinic opens 2 p.m. Sunday. Bromley. Hello, Bill.
Hello there.
Bill.
Nick, basically you're talking about Luxembourg, which I agree with you on.
Yeah.
But Strasbourg is where the ministers. It's a beautiful city, absolutely marvellous.
Is it? Sizzle Strasbourg for me.
Huh?
Sell it to me.
Well, it's sort of Germanic. When the Germans invade France, they just walk across the bridge. It's Germany one side and France the other.
Right.
And if you go and have a look at the Parliament building. It's like nothing you've ever seen. It's absolutely beautiful.
This is the new one, right? This big glass edifice.
And the old city is really Gothic, you know. Absolutely marvellous. Worth a visit, I tell you.
Strasbourg, eh?
Yeah, you ought to take a visit there. Lovely.
All right, I'll Google it. Thanks very much, Bill.
Cheers, sir.
Cheers, mate. Strasbourg, yeah, I mean, there's no end of nice places to go, but not enough time in which to see them. Strasbourg. Don't they, isn't it half Strasbourg and half, is it Berlin? They sort of switch, the European ministers. They spend half their time in Strasbourg, where they just built that building that he was describing that cost something like £500 million, which we bought. You can't go in, but you bought it. And they spend the other half of their time in Berlin. Have I got that right?
I don't know. I'll check.
And they do that because it's like it's something stupid, like where we don't want to leave Berlin out, and so they built themselves another palace in Berlin. I might not have that it's Berlin, but it's definitely the reason that they spend half their time in Strasbourg and half their time somewhere else is for that reason, is because they just thought, oh well, we don't want to leave anybody out, so we'll build another palace for ourselves and then go to the expense of upping sticks every few months and then moving our entire operation across country. Insane. I mean, that is an example of how wasteful governments are. That's perfect. The headquarters of Parliament's civil service is located in... No, not the civil service, Luxembourg. Many officials are based in Brussels. Maybe it's Brussels and... where did I say? Strasbourg. Right. But the whole world's gone crazy. Nothing makes any sense anymore. Did you see those pictures of Gordon Brown walking towards the camera with somebody who will be the next president of the United States of America?
Was he walking down? It was
a long corridor with a checkered tiled floor. I don't know where exactly it was, but he was in conversation with the three candidates vying for to become POTUS. It just looks silly. I mean, if you'd just seen one of those pictures, it was a good shot. But to see all three, it was just so obviously a ludicrous publicity setup, because they're all exactly the same. Here he is walking with Obama, and here he is walking with Hillary, who looked like she didn't want to be there, and who can blame her? And here he is walking with John McCain. And to see the candidates in the same circumstance, standing next to the same person, John McCain looked so... old. He looked like a wrinkled, shriveled-up, grey old man. In fact, it looked like he'd been removed from his coffin and just stood up there. He sort of looked a little bit dead. He's too old. He won't win. Obama will probably win, but then get shot shortly after. You heard it here first, well, probably second. You've been thinking it, haven't you? But there's been much rumour mongering or muttering rather, from behind Gordon Brown, not from the opposite side, but from his own team. The economist Lord Desai questioned whether the Prime Minister was suited to the job, with Labour's opinion poll ratings falling and MPs questioning the government's direction. The peer also suggested that the mood among Labour activists was down in the dumps. Oh, boo-hoo. The party would find it very difficult to win the next election, he said. Lord Desai, who served on the front bench in the Lords during the 1990s, said many party members were talking openly about Mr Brown's possible replacement. How annoying must it be to be Gordon Brown? For 10 years more, probably his entire life, he's been waiting for this job. And the moment he gets it, he's presented with a steaming bucket of bleep. It just must be infuriating. Because when Tony was around, he just sort of floated over it all. The big smile, like the Cheshire Cat. Exactly that. He was just like a floating smile. And it's almost like a choir of angels followed him wherever he went, because no problem seemed to stick to him. He just sort of glided along, untroubled by everything that was going on around him. And as soon as Gordon opens the door, all of the troubles that were contained in a bucket balanced on top of the door fell on his head. Poor, I kind of feel sorry for him. It must be It must be infuriating. Becoming the first senior figure to discuss the prospects of a leadership challenge, he said that David Miliband, the Foreign Secretary, was the top choice. Yeah, but he's 12. David Miliband, that's the child, right? He looks as though he's the fella that I've said before looks like he should be modelling action slacks in the Grattan catalogue. In an interview with the Evening Standard, Lord Desai, Professor Emeritus at the London School of Economics, so he ain't no dope, suggested that Mr. Brown had made a far better Chancellor than Prime Minister, describing his leadership style as porridge, or maybe haggis. Now, I kind of like porridge, but I wouldn't want it 3 times a day. Haggis, on the other hand, you can keep. Haggis is all the bits scraped together that nobody else wants, and stuck in a bag, right? It is revolting. He added, Gordon Brown was put on Earth to remind people how good Tony Blair was. Well, that's just mean. But he's got a good point. And with friends like those, who needs enemies, right? I can't believe nobody bit on the mediums thing. I thought that would get the switchboard exploding. How to get calls on a talk station, mention mediums or ghosts, and normally everybody starts crawling out the woodwork, and you can't get through enough calls. Nothing. I'll mention cars in a minute. It's the only way to get a call on this show.
If you had a psychic on the show, they might have been able to tell you what sort of response you would have got. And here you are laughing at them.
Yeah. If I had a story about psychics parking, then I'd really have something. All right, I'll try something else. How about... I don't think anything... I mean, I've got about 30 stories here, but I don't think anybody will bite. I mean, I must have talked about a dozen things so far, right? I'm just talking to myself here. Shall I mention them and you can stop me when you like one?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, we've got nothing else to do. Useless degrees, taxing drivers by the mile, you can stick 1 million songs on a forthcoming MP3 player, retirement in poverty, email time wasters, drummers, blogging kills, I talked about that yesterday, get rid of that one, football tickets for addicts, I kind of talked about that too, get rid of that one as well. The police speeder, lack of 3 Rs in modern-day workforce, the stem cell heart op, inflation, this is the dodgy stats again, a village versus Wikipedia.
Well, that's a good one.
You don't even know what it is.
No, I don't, but it sounds interesting.
You've picked that one. Can I interest you in any of the others that I haven't mentioned yet? Would you like to pick a number?
5. Oh, Abby says 9.
According to many who live there, the village of Denshaw is a little place of paradise tucked away in the Pennines. But Wikipedia readers have been receiving a rather different message. And I will tell you exactly what that message is as we come back. Hey, it's a teaser. Isn't that exciting?
No.
8:44. LBC Travel with Will Gowing.
Just getting reports in now.
Thank you for holding. Your call's important to us.
My machine has hiccups. Chelmsford, hello, Flash.
Hiya, Nick.
Flash.
Yeah, of course, you know now that American law supersedes all English and Dutch law now.
What do you mean?
Well, a friend of ours, she was married to an American, and they split up because he got arrested, now serving 22 years in a Florida jail.
Right.
But the American courts awarded custody of their 7-year-old daughter, which he has never seen, to him, although the Dutch courts awarded it to her. But she's now on the run in Europe because if the Americans find her, they'll extradite her daughter back to America.
Hang on a minute. He's in prison for
Yes.
20... Did you say 28 years?
22 years.
22 years, right.
Yeah.
And in
But
Florida...
he's got custody of the child.
And they gave the man in prison custody of the child.
Yes, because the daughter is an American. She holds joint American and Dutch citizenship, and the Americans don't want her to leave the country. And because the lady is a Dutch citizen, she's not an American citizen, so she's no right to the child because she's not an American citizen. That's what the courts in America ruled. And because Holland and Britain have signed up because of the September 11th problems, that American law supersedes both English and Dutch law. So what the American courts say, they're the highest courts in the UK, and they're the highest courts in Holland now.
Where are you getting all this from?
It's perfectly legal. That's why you had the NatWest problem as well.
Yeah.
Although they committed no crime here, they had to go to America because we'd signed up. They couldn't stop them going to America. If the Americans want anybody in this country extradited, they can do it.
But the reverse is not true.
The reverse is not true. No, we can't extradite from America because American citizens are heavily protected.
It's the nature. It's the nature of the special relationship. We'll do whatever
the only
they
way
say.
to do it is for us all to become American citizens in this country. Then we will be properly protected by American law. But at the moment, we are illegal aliens. Because we're not Americans. We're under American law, but we're not Americans, so we're illegal aliens. So we don't have the same rights as an American citizen.
Right. Well, I want you to.
Our governments are signed up to the American law because of September the 11th.
Well, I want you to hand yourself into the authorities without delay, Flash. Will you do that for me?
Well, no, I'm siding with the French on this. I'm becoming a French citizen. Napoleonic Code.
Right.
That's what we need.
Of course, if you're a French citizen, that means that you don't have to do any work.
No, but it also means we have nuclear weapons to throw back at the Americans, which are totally independent from their control, whereas our weapons aren't.
Right, well, I'll look forward to that.
So that's what we need, independent nuclear deterrent for against the Americans.
Against the Americans, because that's where the danger is coming from, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much, Flash. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, bye.
0845 6060 973. Is any of that true? That doesn't seem... how on earth could that be possible? That a bloke who's serving 22 years... I mean, of course, in Florida, you could serve 22 years if you drop litter 3 times. If they have 3 strikes and you're out. Do they still do that? Somebody is in prison for the rest of his life because he... the last crime was that he nicked a pizza. Well, he won't be doing that again, but it does seem a little harsh. It would be good if we had something in between what we have now and what they have, rather than handing out £120 fines for killing children, for instance. Yeah, I know. You're shaking your head in there.
No, but it's just, if you see American police, at least they deal with problems quite severely and quite quickly, whereas it seems over here our police take their time to, one, get to a situation, and then secondly, to deal with it in a proper manner that will prevent the crime again.
I think the reason for that is that in America you vote for your police, I don't know the exact term, commissioner, whatever it is, you vote for the head of police, the chief of police is probably what it is an elected position. In here, in this country, you have no control or comeback or... your opinion is not required or desired. But in America, if you don't do the right thing by the people, then they'll vote you out. So, yeah, they do. They're quite proactive. Well, I mean, look at New York. First time I went to New York, it was petrifying. Exciting. I mean, they've removed some of the excitement right enough, but it was alive with the fear of death. The first time I stayed there, my instructions from the guy at the hotel desk was, don't turn left when you leave the hotel. This was in Manhattan. And I think that's been removed now, and they did it because the chap who was responsible was voted into office, and that was the mayor at the time. And the police chief was, I think, was also... no, I don't know if it's in New York as well that you vote for the chief of police in New York. Maybe that's just small town America. I am treading into areas that I have little knowledge of. But hey, what's the difference with the rest of the show, right? Anyway, let's have Stansted. Hello, Pat.
Oh, good evening to
Pat.
you. 2 things. Well, no, 1 thing. Sorry, I can only do 1 thing. You talked about spiritualism.
You can do 2 things, Pat. I'm not your GP.
Pardon?
You can have a couple of things. I'm not your doctor.
I take up so much time of LBC. Anyway, I'm a great fan of Houdini, who was an escapologist, as you know. But one of his great assets was to try and disprove mediums bringing back voices from the dead.
Oh, yeah.
And that started in about the 1920s, if I remember rightly, because he had found so many women going to mediums, desperately trying to get back in contact with dead husbands.
Right.
And what he did, because he was part of his stage act, was to these amazing escapes. But part of them was showing exactly how the trickery was done, as he called it.
Right.
And he was challenged, and the person he was challenged with by more than anybody else was Conan Doyle, which I thought was at least I thought that was quite interesting.
He was challenged by Conan Doyle in what respect?
Because Conan Doyle believed in spiritualism.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so anyway, that was that. But Houdini did a tremendous amount and saved these women an awful lot of money, because they spent a lot of money desperately trying to get voices to come back from the dead, but he would disprove it all. And I think he put up a reward of $5,000, which was a heck of a lot of money then, to anyone who could create voices coming from the dead under his, not his instruction, but under his rules and regulations.
Right. Of course, when anybody goes to one of these people, then they're very suggestible, because they want it to be true. They want to hear from their long
and it's
dead
usually to solve a problem. Things aren't going very well in their lives, and they just hope that their dead husband or brother or whoever is going to say, "Now, don't worry, everything's going to sort itself out."
It is a combination of agony aunt and therapy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's dressed up as something sort of extraterrestrial and spiritual.
Yeah, but the problem is, it is fraudulent.
Well, I think so.
Nobody has yet proved that can do it under the... I mean, what Houdini did was to say, right, you've got a photograph there of somebody with dead faces behind, in the background, and he showed exactly how that could be done. I can't remember the name of the white mist that used to surround these mediums, but he could produce that as well.
Right, I could produce a red mist, but I suppose that's not the same thing.
But he could do the knocking tables and the doors opening and the wind blowing and everything. I mean, I watched his film. I haven't seen it recently. I tell you who is another fan is Steve Allen, of course, because Houdini was a famous magician apart from anything else.
Why, is Steve Allen... What do you mean?
Well, Steve Allen loves magic.
He does?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Absolutely fascinated by it.
Our Steve Allen?
Your Steve Allen,
right.
yes.
I did not know that.
Oh, he knows, and he'll tell you. You ask him about mediums, he'll tell you.
He's gone by the time I get here.
Oh, has he? Oh. Yes, he's up.
I'll never meet him. He's gone at 7 in the morning.
Oh, yes, that's right, yeah. Yes.
I would have to stay here all night long.
Oh,
yeah.
You could email him and say, what do you know about Houdini?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Anyway, that's better. And talking about, you were saying lack of glamour on television.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Dallas.
Well, they tried that just recently, didn't they? And I think it was that Palace thing.
Oh,
it even sounds like Dallas.
No.
Palace, Dallas.
Yeah.
But that didn't work.
Dallas. There was lots of money, lots of beautiful clothes, very articulate people, good stories that weren't too explicit and weren't too violent and things. No, I love
nothing too unseemly.
No, that's the word.
And they had a bad guy that you were rooting for.
Oh, exactly.
And I suppose, in a sense, that's what television is now. Yeah. It's bad guys that you're rooting for, like Simon Cowell and, what's his name, the newspaper man, Piers Morgan. I suppose he's trying to film...
Not glamorous, are they?
Well, no, you're right. They're just bad men that people root for. Yeah. No glamour there. No, you're quite right.
No, there's no glamour. I like that. And also, it was very predictable. I liked it. It was, as I said, articulate, superb acting, which we need.
What? I'd part company with you about the superb acting part.
Oh, did you really?
I mean, I loved Dallas for the first few series, but then so did everybody else in this country. And I can remember rushing back to the flat to see it. And as I was going down the road, it was in the summer, and everybody's windows were open, and I could hear the music coming from virtually every flat in the road as I sort of rushed up to watch the opening sequence, which would have been a JR telling Sue Ellen that she was a drunk, a slut, and an unfit mother, something like that. Yeah. All right, well, thanks for wandering us down memory lane, Pat.
Back to 1920.
Yeah, all right. Cheers.
Okay,
Ta-ra.
good to speak to you. Good night.
0845 6060 973. I'm Nick Abbott. This is LBC 97.3. Book Prize. Andrew Pearce, 11 a.m. Sunday. LBC.
Extremely well.
You bet your life it is. So back to this village. This village versus Wikipedia. You've looked... have you looked yourself up on Wikipedia there, Raj?
I have, yes.
Anything there?
Unfortunately not, no.
No, not yet. No, right, okay. Well, these people that live in this village have looked themselves up. According to many who live there, the village of Denshaw is a little place of paradise, tucked away in the Pennines. But Wikipedia readers have been receiving a rather different message. According to the world's most used online encyclopedia, its population was devastated by a tapeworm outbreak 10 years ago. Those who remain relax by throwing sheep or shooting cows. It gets no more than 4 hours of sunlight a day because of the surrounding hills, and the total population is 4. None of whom is a fit girl. Raj has struck it off his holiday list straight away. Until earlier this year, Denshaw's Wikipedia entry mainly comprised a discussion of the bus services connecting it to nearby Oldham and Ashton-under-Lyne. Oh, you're kidding me. It can't... look up Wikipedia, look up Denshaw, let's see what's on there. I mean, I'm taking it as read. I mean, it's in the Mail, a paper of record. But Denshaw, D-E-N-S-H-A-W, just as you would expect. I can't... do little towns actually have their own... no, sure, with a W, not two L's. Stupid. Denshaw, a small village in the Saddleworth civil parish in Westmoreland Borough. It's actually got quite a big entry. I'm amazed. There's no end of rubbish on Wikipedia. It just goes on and on and on. The most disgusting picture I have ever seen popped up when I was looking at Wikipedia. I was looking at Santana. You know the band Santana. They play a lot of.
As in Carlos Santana.
Oh, that was way too long. Yeah, Carlos Santana. I was looking up Carlos Santana, and out of nowhere, the most awful thing I have ever seen filled the screen. So I reported it. I didn't dial 999 exactly, but I reported it to the... In fact, I should have done, because I'm sure that it was a picture of something illegal. It was I've got it coming into my mind now. That's the thing with pictures, is once you've seen them, even for a brief second, they're there for life. The stuff that I forget, like the entry code into my block of flats, for instance, that I forget. This picture is burnt into my my retinas forever. Anyway, until earlier this year, Denshaw's Wikipedia entry mainly comprised a discussion of the bus services connecting it to nearby Oldham and Ashton-under-Lyne. By yesterday, however, the hijackers had been given free rein to their imagination. They claimed the village, real population about 500, attracts people from many different locations, mainly due to the competitive sports held in the village, including rock rolling, cow shooting and sheep hurling. Due to the complex hill formations surrounding the village, sunlight is only visible 4 hours a day. Some say a contributing factor in the local population's health problems, such as obesity and severe malnourishment. Displaying a colourful turn of phrase, it says that until recently the village consisted mainly of small holding farms and a few timid brothels, such as the Golden Fleece pub. Holly Wright has been named Village Idiot 5 years running. None of that's here now, right? Let's just check. It's got a massive entry on Wikipedia. Did you actually look up yourself, Raj? Did you check Wikipedia to see if you were on it?
Why would I be on Wikipedia?
Well, I don't know. If the village of Denshaw, which no one has ever heard of, is on Wikipedia, why not you?
Shall I have a look for myself?
Yeah, go ahead. See what comes up. Other things that have been seen on Wikipedia. Kylie Minogue is the more beautiful and talented older sister of Michael Jackson. Sharon Stone and Demi Moore headed the Soviet Secret Service. David Beckham was a Chinese goalkeeper in the 18th century. TV theme tune composer Ronnie Hazelhurst wrote the S Club 7 hit Reach, a lie which appeared in his obituaries in The Guardian, The Independent and The Times. That's awful. So the obituary writer for those three papers got the information from Wikipedia? How embarrassing is that? And, also found on Wikipedia, Tony Blair's middle name is Whoop-de-doo. Tony Whoop-de-doo Blair.
It's quite a fascinating entry up on the moment.
Really? No, I very much doubt it. Here is Queen's Park. Hello, William.
Hello, Nick. I'll have to look up Queen's Park in Wikipedia, see what it says. Right. Whether it's as interesting as Denshaw.
I very much doubt it.
Now, in respect to your comments regarding memory and the tricks memory can play, and a comment I'd like to make, a follow-up comment to Harry Houdini from the previous caller.
Houdini, Magic's Wand, one of my favourite tracks. Yeah.
Harry Houdini, the scapologist, not the other one, in Wikipedia. Right. Now, it's true that he spent a lot of his later years exposing
himself,
the fraudsters and the spiritualists.
Yeah.
But he did it for a specific reason, and it wasn't mentioned by your previous caller. She probably didn't know this.
All right.
But he did it. He did it because he actually firmly believed in spiritualism.
Explain.
Well, he wanted to get. I think it was his mother died, and he wanted to get a message from his mother. And he went around. At that time, there were numerous little coffee houses and front rooms with spiritualists operating them. Most of them, probably all of them, were tricksters,
con artists. Yeah.
But he actually came from a different point of view. He wasn't a skeptic. He actually wanted to get the legitimate spiritualists. And anyone who reads about Harry Houdini's exploits will understand that.
So he was challenging spiritualists just in order to find a good one?
Yes, exactly that.
Just to get a message from his mum?
Yes.
Well, I could tell him what she'd say. You're looking a bit peaky. Are you eating well?
Well, yeah, you could say that now, but yes.
Huh.
At the time, no message came through.
Right.
And that was the reason he went around exposing the charlatans.
Well, the stuff you learn on this show.
There we are.
It's like an education.
Glad to be of assistance.
All right, thanks very much, William.
Bye, Nick.
Cheers,
Bye.
Tara. Hang on a minute. Dip my mic. You. Now, I'm going to have to do a swift about turn and talk about something else now. How about this? This was an interesting article in the Standard tonight from Nick Ross. He's the chap that used to be he used to do that crime scene investigation thing, or whatever the hell it was called. What was it called?
Crime Watch?
Crime Watch, yeah. Didn't he get his car nicked when he was doing Crime Watch or something comical like that?
Did he report it on Crime Watch?
He's talking about Westbourne Grove. And there's a big picture of Westbourne Grove, which has a sign that says Westbourne Grove closed January 2008 to August 2008.
What?
8 months! He says Thames Water has dug 3 holes, and in doing so has blockaded Westbourne Grove, one of London's many minor arteries. The company intends to keep it closed until late summer. I asked the subcontractors, said Nick Ross, why it was going to take so long, and they thought that it could be done a bit quicker, but said it would take this long because that's how long the contractors had specified. And the contractors told me... No, contractors or contractors?
Contractors.
So the contractors had told him that Thames Water had allowed this time. So I asked Thames Water, he said, who said it would take this long because that's how long the contractors needed, and referred me to Westminster City Council, who said that's how long it would take because that's how long Thames Water had asked for. So that's like a giant circle to come back to. They just ask for a really long time, and so the council will say, yeah, all right then. And so that's the amount of time that it takes. Regardless of the actual amount of time it takes, that's how long they're given. Because they just asked for it. And nobody checks it, and they say, can we dig up the road for 8 months? They go, yeah, all right then. Yeah, all right then, go on then. And that's the end of it.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
I suppose so, yeah. What sort of hole does it take to close a high street for 8 months, he says? Thames Water wants to run an underground pipe for 500 metres to stop sewage flowing into local shops, an ambition which is very laudable. Of course, I have no doubt that if this were an emergency, Thames Water could do it quicker. A century and a half ago, Joseph Basil Getty... Is that the same chap whose family is responsible for Big Brother? Same name. Same crazy name.
Maybe they're distant cousins.
A century and a half ago, Joseph Basil Getty would have put in several miles of full-scale, brick-lined sewers in 8 months and no doubt thrown up a couple of palatial plumbing stations too. The truth is, no one has a sense of urgency and so no one needs to hurry, because the system everyone works to is designed for laziness and inefficiency. It really doesn't matter to Thames Water how long it closes Westbourne Grove. It doesn't pay a penny for the privilege. Like polluters who don't compensate for dumping toxic waste, the utility companies have a virtual, unassailable right to access their assets under London's thoroughfares. No matter that the streets and the pavements belong to you and me, and they can throw us off them almost as they please. The answer, of course, is to charge them for all the dislocation that they cause. If you tot up the loss to local business, the delays to traffic, the pollution caused by diversions and the rest of it, Thames Water is wasting a lot of other people's money. London boroughs have known this for ages and have been lobbying the government for the authority to exercise more control on street works. I'm up against coincidentally, the travel. I'll come back, because I think this is the sort of thing that affects all of us. And you kind of, it irritates you, but what can you do, right? Well, he's attempting to do something about it. So hang on, I'll come back. It's 9:15. LBC Travel with Will Gowing.
Thank you very much, Nick. If you're heading onto the motorways tonight...
The Hero season is now on Sky, and whoever your hero is, Johnny Wilkinson or Jimi Hendrix, you can enjoy them all on Sky. And to celebrate, LBC are giving you the chance to win Sky Plus for a year, including a Sky Plus box, a mini-dish, installation, and a year's subscription to Sky World, which is Sky's top entertainment package, and a 32-inch Samsung HD LCD flat-screen TV to watch it on. Amongst the things coming up on Sky's Heroes season, Lost Worlds, Churchill's Cabinet of War Rooms on the History Channel, the international cricket on Sky Sports, and the movie World Trade Center with Nicolas Cage on Sky Movies. To win this prize, make sure you're listening to Nick Ferrari at breakfast all next week from 7 on LBC 97.3, the Sky's Heroes season. The number 0845 6060 973. I'm a little bit of the way through this Nick Ross article. He's talking about the roadworks on Westbourne Grove, and they're going to be digging up the road for 8 months, which seems and you just like, well, what can you do? He's trying to do something about it. He says, where did I leave it? No matter that the streets and pavements belong to you and me, they can throw us off them almost as they please. The answer, of course, is to what's the matter with me? Is to charge them for all the dislocation that they cause. If you tot up the loss to local businesses, the delays to traffic, the pollution caused by diversions and the rest, Thames Water is wasting a lot of other people's money. London boroughs have known this for ages and have been lobbying the government for the authority to exercise more control on street works. 4 years ago, it looked like they'd get it. The Transport Minister, Tony McNulty. Whatever happened to him?
He's still around.
Is he? What's he doing now?
I can't remember, but he's quite high up in government.
I find it bizarre that one day they're Transport Minister and the next day they're Minister for the Environment and then the next day they're Children's Minister. And essentially it means that we're being constantly run by amateurs. How can these people know anything about the job that they're doing if they're just switched every 6 months? They've got no idea. No wonder we're in such a bloomin' mess. It's because the weird system that we've got in this country, where everybody that runs anything doesn't know anything about the department that they're running. How can they?
Maybe they're jacks of all trade.
But you don't want a jack of all trades. You want experts, don't you? I mean, you don't get a handyman to make you an exquisite credenza, do you? Anyway. This Tony McNulty bloke trialled the idea in Camden and personally promised Westminster's traffic chief that he would enshrine powers for lane rental charging in new legislation then going through the Commons. But McNulty was one of those here today, gone tomorrow ministers, and as soon as his back was turned, there were consultations and the utilities had the idea blocked. Their defence was laughable, but it was enough to bamboozle officials at the Department of Transport that if you charge us for screwing up London, we will simply pass on the costs to our customers so no one will be better off. I wish I could pull that one, says Nick Ross. I'm sorry, Mr. Taxman, but I see no point in paying tax because I shall simply pass the costs on to my clients. In fact, why should I pay the gas or the water bill since the money will just be going in a big circle? The glory of making people pay for things is that it helps to balance supply and demand. It makes us prioritise. It motivates us to reduce waste. Most companies have internal markets for these reasons, the utility firms included. Westminster Council even charges itself to dig up roads, levying money from highway maintenance budgets to force its staff to close roads as sparingly as possible. But bizarrely, privatised utilities remain exempt from such laws of economics when sequestering our streets. But the BBC do that as well. But it seems crazy when they do it, but if the BBC wants... I think they sold all their clothes department, didn't they? Didn't they sell it to Angel? But before they did that, if a BBC drama wanted to get a costume, didn't they have to go and hire it from their costume department with actual money? Having had the wool pulled over their eyes by the utilities, ministers will now try to pull it over yours. They'll tell you that they have a wonder called the Traffic Management Act, which, now that it's finally come into force this month, give councils powers to regulate who digs where and when. However, the new rules are pathetic, a craven retreat from the Camden experiment. Local authorities can issue permits, but in a piece of typical Whitehall control freakery, they have to seek permission from ministers first, and are specifically forbidden to make a profit on the licences, which means they still can't charge for the true economic costs of highway dislocation. Instead, they'll be able to charge £240 for a permit and £120 for a fine to those digging without one. It'll be cheaper for the companies to keep digging and pay the fine. So the fine, so the permit costs £240. If you go ahead and dig without one, then the fine's £120. Half as much. What? In desperation, local authorities are now trying to cajole the utilities into being better citizens. Oh, right, that'll work. And when National Grid Transco planned to commandeer the busiest junction in Knightsbridge for several months, council officials managed to persuade it, voluntarily, to do it in little more than half the time that they said it originally needed. So that's kind of the way. They just think of a sum and then double it. And then they say, well, can we have we'll dig up the road for 8 months, because we think it'll take us 4, but we'll ask for 8, and they'll give us 8, and then we can dig it up for 8. And that's why you drive by roadworks and you think, well, no one's doing anything here. He says, what Londoners need is a minister who understands that our streets need defending. Those who would hijack them must be made to pay the proper price. The trouble is that once we find a minister with some nous, we will then need civil servants with some balls, who will then need legislative time, by which time we'll have a government reshuffle, and then we'll have to find a minister with some nous, and by then, of course, someone else will be digging up Westbourne Grove. Yes. That is an excellent idea. Why don't we just do it? I've been thinking that for just forever. How many times have you driven by roadworks? People have coned off streets, and nothing ever happens there. That's the reason why. It's because they ask for permission to do it, a job that will take them, a matter of months, and they'll say, well, can we have it for a year? And they say, sure, why not? And so they have permission to dig it up for a year. Because nobody's in control. The whole world's gone crazy. Right, what else? He says, continuing the bloomin' monologue. What's the point? 0845 6060 973. How many things have I talked about so far, Raj?
Do you want to know how many I've got on my list, or
Yeah.
how many you've actually talked about?
What's the difference? Haven't you been writing down every single thing I've said?
Yeah, I've got quite a few here.
A dozen. Dozens and dozens and dozens, right?
At least 32.
Right. See, I rest my face. I like this. This is a snapshot of judgery. Not drudgery, judgery. What do you think of Britain's judges? They're a bunch of dopes with fudge between their ears who are completely out of touch with reality, right? Not just us. America has the same problem. The judge is hearing a copyright trial in New York for which J.K. Rowling... Rolling or Rowling? Rolling. Rolling, rawhide. In which Miss Rowling is seeking to ban an unauthorised Harry Potter lexicon, told the court yesterday, this is the judge, he told the court that he'd begun reading The Adventures of the Young Magician in the first book. He'd read about half of it. He confessed some of the stories had left him confused. Reading half of the first book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, to his grandchildren, he said that he found Miss Rowling's magical world hard to follow, filled with strange names and words that would be gibberish in any other context. I found it extremely complex, he said. Children all over the world have been able to follow this book, and it beats a judge. It's a children's book. There's no hope. Right, anything here? No? Now we've got people calling in and I still can't talk to them. I'll just whistle while I work. There's three of them in there, doing nothing, just sitting there staring at me like the three monkeys.
On this bit here.
On what bit?
On the desk.
Is that your excuse? Right. Oh, come on.
He's there.
Richmond. Hello, Alan.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Testy. How are you?
Oh, this is so typical, these roads things, right? Literally, I can park on a road, cause minor congestion for 2 minutes by, like, parking over my time or illegally parking.
Yes.
I get a £120 fine.
Correct.
They dig the road up for 8 months without a permit and get the same fine.
That's true. Yes, absolutely right, yeah.
And if I mug somebody, I get a £100 fine.
If you kill somebody, you get a £120 fine.
I mean...
What's that noise, Alan?
Oh, it's my dog, he's whining.
Right.
He knows he's nearly...
Oh.
Don't start that. This is just coming into season. That'll really set him off. Yeah, literally, they started resurfacing the road that leads from my house down to Richmond Bridge, right? A month before I went on holiday.
Right.
Just resurfacing, nothing more.
Yeah.
I've been away for 2 weeks. I get back. It's the same as it was left.
Now, resurfacing, all they need to do is pour that black stuff on and then steamroller it. Job done, right?
Muck up, burn the same stuff up and lay it back down. How hard can that be?
Well, you wouldn't think very hard.
They will resurface 100 metres and...
Oh, listen to that dog. I can't concentrate on anything you're saying.
You don't think it's anything to do with somebody in the House of Lords who makes tarmac, do you?
I've got no idea what but all I do know is that I love the smell of tarmac in the morning.
Yeah, but that's no reason to keep it being laid for 8 months just because you got a fetish on it, is it?
Well,
really?
I suppose so, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's solvents you can get that can, you know...
Oh, but they don't smell as good. There's just something about hot black tar that's just, the smell of it. Calvin Klein should bottle that.
Yeah, he probably would.
What are you doing to that dog, seriously?
I'm not. He just knows the way to the park.
Oh, right. He's got squirrels to chase.
Yeah, something like that.
Right. Have you got a little bag with you for you know what?
Oh yeah, I've got.
Of course, yeah, model citizen.
In America, I got this really cool thing. They call. Hang on.
A pooper scooper.
No, it isn't actually. It's like a little. Hang on. Outward Hound. It's called.
It's called a what?
It's called Outward Hound. And it's
I might have to look that up on the net because we're running out of time. Outward Hound, not bound.
Yeah,
hound.
It's a little Velcro baggie that goes around.
I'll check it. Thanks very much, Alan. Out of time. LBC. Barking. Hello, Tim.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
I'm a virgin. I phoned last night a couple of times to get in on the phone, and I was intrigued by the Mohead situation, the guy from Ickenham, the London Mayoral stuff, but your last shout was Ian Wright.
Ian Wright, right.
Now, the benefit of hindsight, you're correct. He left BBC to go to Sky because Alan Shearer dissed his son in the first international he played in.
He did what to his son?
He dissed him, didn't he? He missed a couple of sitters for England.
He dissed him, did you say?
Yeah, he sort of said, Alan Shearer, in between half-time with Hanson, Ian Wright was sitting with his hat on, and went, the boy's playing good, and Shearer said, he could have done better. He missed a couple of sitters.
Right.
Now, any guys that know that game, they're playing against, I believe, is a friendly against, I'm not sure, but any guys would understand, like, last night's conversation about why Ian Wright has left BBC.
Well,
it's based on the fact that Shearer actually said Wright Phillips should have played better.
Well, that's a really weak reason to walk out. But the reason that he gave that he was walking out was because...
Well, I know it's been in hindsight, but last night I tried to call you twice on that. But
Right.
I hate Ian Wright too. So.
I just thought that it didn't seem like he belonged there. I mean, everybody else was making...
Exactly.
Everybody else seemed...
You don't wear leather caps like the guy at Starsky and Hutch nowadays.
Well, yeah, he did look... I mean, the way he dressed was a clown, but everything else was kind of embarrassing, yeah.
But I tried to call last night a couple of times on that subject, and that, apart from the government Ickenham about the trying to work out the mayoral election campaign was fantastic. And by the way, Nick, just going forward, what's the result of that? How do we vote? I'm embarking. What do I do?
Just show up and follow the instructions. Don't ask me. I'm trying.
Mate. I'm a virgin. I picked up last night. I listen to Birdsong normally, so you know.
Birdsong. Oh, what a station that is! Yeah.
But the guy's getting how many listeners a week?
What, Birdsong?
Yeah, I think he's getting quite a lot of listeners.
I wake up. I just love that. I like the part where the horse comes along and then whinnies a bit, and then it disappears.
And Jack Hargreaves.
All right, thanks,
mate. I'm a virgin. I'm now committed. Thanks.
All right, cheers, mate. All right.
Bye.
0845 6060 973. Yeah, Ian Wright's all over the papers still today, and anybody that's commented about it, apart from just reporting the facts as they were told, ma'am, and the facts, as they've been explained, are that he's leaving because he doesn't like the fact that he's been portrayed as the comic relief. Well, to be a comic relief, you have to actually be funny. You know, there is that. All of the commentators are in agreement with me. I don't think anybody likes the guy. Didn't you say last night that you do? Somebody stuck up for him.
Yeah, I stuck up for him.
Stood up for him.
Stuck up for him.
But I don't think you actually put it into words. I think you were just nodding vigorously.
Oh, no, I did say he was better than the rest because he...
He absolutely isn't.
Why is he not?
He doesn't seem to be able to... I mean, even for a footballer, he's got a pretty poor command of the English language. He just... I don't know, there's just something irritating about his personality.
I think he's passionate about his football, and he's not that typical talking in cliches as usually football pundits do.
Well, they all say the same things, but then there's only so many things you can say about football.
Yeah, but Alan Shearer and Alan Hansen are both pretty dour people.
Alan Shearer is particularly dull, but then he's had a rich career of being dull. I mean, I think once I heard him his advice to Michael Owen on how to deal with the press was to always just give it to mix your sporting metaphors, or just to present a straight bat. In other words, don't give them anything in return to whatever question it is that they've asked you. They'll try and goad you, but just reply in the most boring way you can. It's kind of the way that politicians do it. Just give them a lot of old flannel that doesn't mean anything, and eventually time will run out, and they'll have to move on. And so his whole career has been being boring. And it wasn't an act, come to find out. He is actually that boring. But I think Alan Hansen is... He always seems to say the right things. But Righty, he just seems like an idiot. Like a gold-toothed, cap-wearing, Starsky and Hutch wannabe fool. who isn't, and he looks funny, but not intentionally. But what he says isn't funny. I think somebody has told him along the lines that he is actually amusing. I'm sorry. Sorry to break the news to you, mate. Awful. And I couldn't see, apart from you, Rod, there's nobody who who's sticking up for him. It looks like no one's going to miss him. Can't wait till he leaves. Oh, he's gone already. And he's going to Gladiators, because he wants to be taken seriously. Which tells you everything you need to know. Painful. I'm ready to give up now. How long have I been talking? Seriously, honestly, it's just like a monologue. Every night I come in here, unless I say parking or speeding. I'll do speeding. There you go. I give in. I'll do speeding. A police firearms specialist faces jail after inventing a car chase in an attempt to avoid a speed camera offence. Richard Holding switched on the blue lights of his police Range Rover when he realised he was going too fast through a speed trap. He then searched through the police computer to find a nearby emergency incident that he could claim to have been answering. Brilliant. The computer showed that a Citroën car had been driven erratically in the same area at the same time, and Holding claimed to have been pursuing it as a suspected vehicle. But his plot fell apart. When colleagues checked his story, they discovered that the information about the Citroën had never been broadcast to police cars, so he could not have known about the incident. Well, there's a schoolboy error for a start, really. I mean, that's like something out of Columbo. Holding, 45, a former Metropolitan Police officer, firearms officer, who helped foil the £200 million diamond raid on the Millennium Dome. You remember that, right? 2000. That was. What year do you think that was? The £200 million diamond raid on the Millennium Dome.
1999?
As long ago as that. See, once again, he overestimates wildly to make the actual figure seem small by comparison. Because I would have thought that was just a couple of years ago. That was actually in 2000. That was 8 years ago. Good grief. Isn't that awful?
Well, I was close.
I know you were close, but I can't believe it's that long ago. Anyway, he was part of that lot. He later moved to the Devon and Cornwall Force and went on to serve in Iraq with a territorial army. Seems like a good sort. Appearing at Plymouth Magistrates Court, Holding of Liskeard in Cornwall, who was caught on camera doing 89 miles an hour in a 70 zone, admitted the speeding offence and attempting to pervert the course of justice by falsely claiming to be part of a police chase. But there's the problem, right? He tried to cover his tracks and get out of it. Because doing 89 in a 70 zone, so what? I mean, if it's a 70 zone, that means you'll have at least 2 lanes. It'll be a dead straight road. It's not through a built-up area, and he was doing 89. Who hasn't done 89 miles an hour in a 70 zone? Hands up. Everyone. You have to do 80 on the motorway just to keep up with the slow lane, right? If you do 70 on the motorway, people are behind you flashing their horns and passing you, looking furiously out of their side window at you, throwing you all sorts of finger gestures. There's one for you, Raj. Simon Laws for the defence said Holding's actions were out of character and may have been affected by his state of mind following his experiences in Iraq. Oh, reaching, I think. He said Holding had been an exemplary officer and had saved lives in firearms incidents. The officer was also a devoted husband and father. Bill Higgins for the prosecution. Bill Higgins. Sounds like some sort of Victorian... Well, it's
footballer.
A Victorian footballer? Yeah, all right.
If you give him a funny nickname, so he'll be something like Billy Hatcher Higgins, yeah.
Yeah, Hacker Higgins. Hacker Higgins, for the prosecution, said Holding had spotted the speed camera, knew he was speeding and switched on his blue lights to make it look as if he was on his way to an emergency call. That's pretty quick thinking, don't you think? I mean, the amount of time that you get from passing a camera to arriving on the there's little white lines painted on the road, I mean, that's just a matter of feet, right? If you're doing 89 miles an hour, this man's reflexes are phenomenal. He thought it up. He went through the whole, oh, blimey, what shall I do? I've been caught. Oh, no, hang on, I'll switch on my blue lights. And so all that went through his mind like that, doing 89, and he managed to get the lights on in time. Brilliant. Just the sort of fella that we want, out there patrolling. But, oh no, we can't have that. He's expected to be sacked from the police or asked to resign following his conviction. The magistrates said sending him to prison was an option open to them when he is sentenced next month. Good grief. Talk about an overreaction. I mean, all right, so he tried to get out of it, but really, come on. He's 45 years old. He's been a firearms officer. He helped to foil the Millennium Dome raid, and he's gone to Iraq with a TA. I mean, he sounds like just the sort of fellow that we want on the front line, right? But because he did 89 in a 70 zone, he's been sacked. Well, not really. Not for that. Although they probably do sack you for that, right? Unless you're a higher up in the police, in which case they'll just pretend it never happened. And, or we don't know who was driving the car. They'll pull that one. Oh, well, it was a fleet car. And we have got no record of who was driving it. Like, they don't write that down when they take them out. You can just take a car at random. They would have come up with something. I think that's awful. But I'm alone. Never mind. Shall I give the number out? Look, what's the point? 0845 6060 973. What should I say as a topic? I'm running out. I mean, I say all these things, and it seems like it's, there's all the stuff out of the paper, so the paper thinks that they're interesting the general public, but, the response, zero. Nothing. Nada. Niet. I'll do, statistics. Inflation. Who's interested in that? Nobody. Right, okay. Price of food. Not a sausage. Sausage.
Literally.
Prices of sausage through the roof. 9:44. LBC Travel with Will Gowing.
Thank you very much, Nick. Still seeing problems if you're heading...
Walsall. Lloyd.
Hello, Nick.
How you going?
Not bad.
Yes, Lloyd.
Yes. Oh, well, I offered to talk about any subject because I'm sitting here in Walsall listening to LBC and I'm dumbfounded that the people of London aren't calling up, so I thought I'd...
Well, I shoot myself in the foot, really, by doing a show that's just kind of, like, wide range. If I started the hour and said, in this hour, I will take calls on abortion, for instance, I would not be able to get through the calls. There'd be so many of them. But by just chit-chatting, I suppose I'm not instructing people to call. I just hope that they will. But I don't know, maybe I'll switch. From Monday, we're only going to be doing shows about abortion.
Good. I'm in favour of abortion. Well, the right to abort.
Right.
Not abortion.
Can I abort this conversation before it even starts?
No, well, I hope you don't.
But you were going to talk about speeding. Go ahead.
Well, I think you're exaggerating in saying that the slow lane is normally 80 miles an hour, so...
Yeah, well, it's not 70, is it? I mean, every now and again you'll see somebody who's doing 65, and they'll be usually driving a car that's got wooden panels on it, and they'll have a flat at. But usually, I mean, cars don't sit well at lower speeds, and so once you get above a certain speed, 70 seems so slow, and you just drift up.
I've found my car makes an odd noise at about 83 miles an hour, but makes a nice noise at 89. Sorry, it makes a horrible noise at 75, but makes a nice noise at 80. So I go at 80 because it sounds better. It feels better.
Yeah, exactly right. There's a speed at which most cars sit comfortably. That they just want to run at that speed, and it ain't 70, and it's certainly not 30.
And when I've only been driving for a year, and I thought I'd only stick in the slow lane to start off with, but as soon as I got going, I realised that this was really, really boring. And it's really easy to go up to 80, so
yeah.
I think the speed limit should be 80.
I think it should be 100. Well, I really do think it should be 100. 100 is a perfectly reasonable speed. 70 is just way too slow. So how long has the speed limit been 70 miles an hour? It's like, must go back to the 60s.
I don't know, I wasn't around.
When cars were actually made out of wood. It's true, and they didn't have bags or brakes or anything. So it's got to change. I mean... It would sit better with us if they changed the speed limits and that went along with them being more officious about fining us for breaking it. Yeah. Like anybody driving over 100, for instance, well, that would be reasonable to fine them. But to do 75 on the motorway and get a fine and lose your licence and blah, blah, blah. That just seems, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with anybody. I think everybody's moaning about it, either out loud or internally. So, you've only been driving for a couple of years?
Yes, no, not even 2 years. If I get caught speeding twice, I'll lose my licence.
Right.
So, but I still do it. I don't know why, I just can't help myself. I have to apologise, Nick, because I'm calling from work and somebody wants my attention.
Okay, go to it.
I've got to pretend I'm
working. Yeah, good man. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Here is Worcester Park. Hello, Gary.
Hello, hi Nick.
Gary.
Yeah, like the latest scare story in the paper last week was sausages.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you ended your end on sausages. How can they be so dangerous? Because there's all different makes of sausages. Like butchers make their own, and all different companies. So how can they, say that sausage is going to give you cancer?
Well, they were saying that anything that is
like processed.
Processed, that's right. Yeah, processed meat like ham and bacon and sausages, mystery meat.
Yeah, but when local butchers make their sausages, it's proper stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they have to do that.
Right.
Reputation.
Presumably burgers are also there's a certain mystery about burgers as well. But if you buy a steak and then mash it up, you can make your own burgers.
Well, yeah, but obviously, like decent people are going to make, going to put decent meat in, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's just one other thing.
Go on.
I read a story in the Mail, and it's on page 36 about the Down syndrome boy who's been called a racist.
This was yesterday, right?
Yeah, no, today. No,
oh,
today.
Again today.
Yeah, and I'm surprised you didn't pick it up, but if you read the story, it's made me cry.
Yeah, I know. Somebody else, I can't remember which show it was. I think Drivers were dealing with this yesterday, so I thought I'd leave it to them.
Well, it is in today's paper anyway.
Right, okay. Well, thanks very much, Gary.
Okay, cheers.
About sausages and bacon and ham and all that, you know what? Oh, blimey. Eggs they just came out with. You can't eat eggs because they'll kill you too. And you can't eat oranges because they'll rot the enamel on your teeth. And you can't, there isn't anything in your fridge that is safe to eat. Nothing at all. So just go ahead and eat it and forget about these people, forget about the health scares, forget about all of basically all of the pages before you get to the sport in the Mail. Just forget about all of those and go ahead and just have whatever you like. You're going to die anyway. The Rhonda. Hey, Rob.
Mr. Abbott.
How you going?
Oh, getting older.
Yeah, ain't we all?
Yeah, I look in the mirror now, 22, and I see wrinkles developing, and I think, can I look like this when I'm 40?
I'll tell you what, if you want to know how you'll look when you're 40, take a mirror, put it on the floor, and then bend over and see what you look like then.
Which end?
Your front end.
Oh, that's right. How are we?
And then when you're 40, if you want to look like, see how you look when you're 20, do it in reverse. Lie down and hold the mirror above you.
Must be fun at your place.
Oh, yeah, no end.
Time.
Yeah.
Do you notice the pile of tripe that is on television recently?
Well, which channel? Blimey, where do we even start?
Oh, QVC. God, it's gone downhill.
QVC?
Okay. Do you know there are 40 shopping channels?
I went past the QVC building the other day. It is massive. I think it's the same building that Channel 4 used to have. Huge it is. They must be making so much money. In fact, didn't Barry Diller, he's the chap that used to run Disney, didn't he leave Disney to set up the shopping channel? And everybody laughed out loud when they heard it, because Disney, this massive organisation with the movies and the amusement parks and, the billions and billions of of money coming in. And he went to sell zirconium jewellery to people sitting on their sofa all day. And nobody could believe it. Turns out that he was the smartest man on the block, and he's, to be a part of that organisation. Blimey, wouldn't you like to have bought into that at the very beginning?
You get all the stars on there. You get people like Britt Eklund and Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers, I know, sells her own jewellery, yeah. I think she makes more money from doing that than she ever made doing anything else in show business.
I watched Larry King the other day, and he had a topic saying health and how to look younger and all that. And then a panel of all these experts. I said, now we've got some celebrity questions. Now a lady who somehow has always managed to look young, Joan Rivers.
Somehow, yeah.
I can't think how the 89-year-old can looks so young.
Is she really that old? Well, she could be. Who knows how old she is?
Well,
some parts of her are only 6 months.
Get a mirror out.
Yeah. She's gone too far. I mean, I think that nobody has really invented plastic surgery that doesn't look like plastic surgery yet. Everybody who's ever had it looks like they've been stretched and pulled.
I tell you what, someone who said they had plastic surgeries on television last night. What happened to you on Graham Norton's chat show?
Graham Norton hasn't had plastic surgery, has he?
No, but one of his guests. Oh, I'm trying to remember his name is. The guy...
Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis has had plastic surgery?
Oh, he said he had some Botox.
He looks terrible.
Did you see him on that programme?
No, I didn't. I saw still pictures in the papers today. He
oh,
looks
good. He's
awful.
nice. he looks different.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Oh, well, he's ill, though, isn't he? He's in a wheelchair at the moment.
Oh, I don't know. He's walking on the set.
Oh, right, okay. I think he had a pneumonia or something like that.
He's lost his hair or wig.
Yeah, all of it, yeah.
Which makes you think, how are those other celebrities rumoured to wear wigs? Let's name names. How did they look? They just took it off.
Yeah, shocking.
Children need never be the same.
Many of them are safely on radio. Like you said, naming no names.
All the stars.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Toodle pip.
Here is Kentish Town. Hello, Pat.
Hi, Nick.
Pat.
Hey, I phoned up because you sounded pretty desperate for phone calls.
Well, I sit here and I just, natter away and...
Yeah, but that's the thing. We're all your adoring fans are sitting there listening to your witty repartee.
Oh, yeah,
and,
right.
We don't want to interrupt your flow.
Well, I've heard that before, that people say, really? Oh, well, I haven't called up because I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, it's true, you're... I don't want to sound like a sycophant, but you're very good, and I just like listening. So, keep up the good work.
All right, thanks, Pat.
All right, cheers, mate.
Here is Bushy Heath. Debbie.
Hello.
Hey, Debbie.
Hello.
Debbie.
I do enjoy your show, I must say. It makes me laugh
Debbie.
lots.
Well, you've got to have a laugh, ain't ya?
Yeah. I'm just phoning to let you know about speeding tickets. That in May I will have been driving for for 10 years. And I got my first speeding fine
how
2
annoying.
weeks ago. Well, I don't know. I thought it was quite good going. I wasn't that bothered. I thought I've got away with it for this long.
Well, I can top that, actually. I passed my test when I was 17 in 1977. I have never had a speeding ticket. Boy, have I been lucky.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I think lucky, yes. Someone's looking down upon you.
Either that or they're not looking hard enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Debbie.
Okay, bye.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-da. There you are, you see. If you ask, they will come.
You don't ask, you don't get.
No, I
like
suppose
said
so,
earlier.
yeah. Hey, what we talked about today then, Raj?
We spoke about News at 10,
oh, yeah.
the Bongs, Trevor McDonald, and finally, clubs, interrupting films, stand-up noddies, Mr. and Mrs.
I can't remember who that was, but go on.
New things on TV, outcry in Parliament, Parliament questions, soap operas, imagination and music, Jack and Ori, man with tumour heads.
What's the story, Jack and Ori?
I have no idea. Victorian freak showery.
Yes.
Jeremy Kyle. Gladiators.
Right.
Head of Defence Estates, RAF Housing, The Corridors of Power, Protecting the Royals, Compensation,
Compensation. No, not again. LBC Jim's next.
Life's full of decisions. Tea or coffee?